I am Marwan Cameron, and this is another episode of The Conduit. Oh man, what is today's date? Today is March 31st, 2021. It is the last day of the month, so it is my sister's birthday. Happy birthday to you, Jamie Cameron. Hope you are enjoying your day. We have a special guest at the bottom of the hour, Holly Alston, coming from Ketchup Public Health. So it'll be a lot of fun talking with her, getting some information from her as well. So hopefully you will join us in about 3 minutes. We will get started. So I got to say, I don't have any pictures of it right now, but I want to give a shout out to Miss Anita. She brought some fresh lumpia and pancit, which is awesome. And if any of you know how to actually make lumpia and not actually buy it from the lumpia factory or somewhere else, you know, there's some time and effort that goes into that. So thank you, Miss Anita, for that. I'm good and full. That was delicious. I can't actually remember the last time I've had fresh lumpia. It's been a while. And I tell you, I'm horrible at it when I've tried to make it in the past. When Miss Anita showed me how to do it, I would tear the paper. So, I mean, I was just horrible at it. And I even took my time and everything else, and it takes so long to do it. It's like, oh man, this is not worth it. You know, it's like, because you can destroy them, so many of them so fast, but it takes so long to make. You definitely savor each bite if you got to hand make them yourself. So, you know, a shout out to Miss Anita for that. Definitely really appreciate that. Always looking out for me. That's really awesome. So yeah, you know, lots of stuff going on in the news. You know, there's so much stuff that's happening right now. I almost feel like I could be on here for like 8 hours a day, just kind of responding to and talking about the different things that are happening throughout, you know, our world. And, you know, it's just like, wow, man, it's just such a crazy time. But of course, there's other things that have to be done. So I can't go too far down the rabbit hole. Otherwise, I wouldn't get anything else accomplished. But there is a lot to talk about, a lot to kind of share out there. Hope everyone is doing well. You know, it is 60 degrees outside in Bremerton at about 6:29 p.m., which is pretty fantastic. But man, it was like a couple degrees above freezing last night. I don't know what the temperature is going to get to tonight. Echo, what is the weather tonight? Let's see if she'll listen to me. Sometimes she'll decide whether or not she wants to answer. Echo, what is the weather tonight? So it looks like it's going to get down to 45 degrees. Pretty mild compared to what we've had. Definitely a beautiful day. It's good to see that sunshine and just kind of be out there in that warmer weather. It was great. I don't know why I wore this turtleneck today. I guess I didn't think it was going to be that warm out, but this might have been too much. It was a good thing I didn't wear a suit jacket on top of it. That would have just been overkill. But it was nice getting out today and moving about. You know, one of the things that, you know, I recognize with, you know, kind of working at home or just kind of, you know, doing my thing at G2, you know, I don't have to drive very much. And so that's pretty awesome. You know, the downside is, hey, I've got a transportation company, so I've got multiple vehicles that are getting fueled up. And so I had to finally fuel my car up, and it was $60. I'm like, oh God, man, that is, whoo, that's quite a bit. And although, you know, it's par for the course, you know what you signed up for. You know, I'm not looking forward to those, you know, $2,000, $2,500 a month gas bills, trying to push around the county and outside. So it is what it is. You know, you got to always look at the other side of it, of being blessed and being able to, you know, provide transportation for folks, for yourself to get to where you need to go to. You know, I remember the days of putting $5 in the tank or $2 in the tank and saying, I'll figure it out. once I get to, the next place or whatever, right? And we just got to do what we got to do. So I do remember those days of having to do that. So it's definitely a blessing, and I think about, the affirmation bowl. That's one of the things that, is in my bowl, right? Is just being thankful for those things. And I used to talk about that a lot when I was still teaching at the college and trying to put things in perspective for people, right? And for both students that are coming through and trying to figure out how they're going to work on an academic program that may take them, multiple years, especially when they find out they have prerequisites or they need to go back and redo coursework that they've done either in high school or just don't have the foundation solid, so they have to redo it. And how stressful that is as they're trying to, get through it as fast as possible. And I understand that because I was in that situation. But then I also would have those conversations with, instructors and advisors and counselors and things of that nature. And other, people that ran programs, admissions and things like that. Because at the same time, we have to be empathetic of a person's situation and where they're coming from, right? It's so easy to say, I did it, so, you can do it. I had it, a lot harder than what your situation is now. There's so many resources out here for you that didn't exist before. It's easy to say that, but everyone going through has to go through their own experience, their own trials and tribulations and challenges. And it's just one of those things that, we have to kind of keep that perspective as we work with folks. And just kind of meet them where they're at, right? That sounds pretty cliche to say. And what does that truly mean? Because you're trying to, meet people where they're at, but at the same time, you're also trying to move them forward to help them attain the goals that they say that they want to obtain for themselves. So I almost feel like, reflecting on it, I actually don't meet people where they're at, right? I try to meet people a little bit above where they're at and try to challenge them to move through that space to where they want to go, right? So I have conversations with folks and they say, hey, I want to achieve this, that, and the third. And it's like, okay, well, these are the steps that you need to do, but we're going to go ahead and just kind of set the bar, here a little bit. There's things that you need to do. There's actions, there's decisions, there's even thought processes that you're going to have to modify and change in order to start working on that path, right? And for that to stick for you to work through it and continue to make those gains through whatever challenges or hardships that you may face. So, I would say, just to kind of rephrase that, I don't want to meet people where they're at. I actually want to meet them a little bit above and challenge them to work through where I'm meeting them at and to their ultimate goal. And again, that's in context of, people coming and saying, hey, I'm goal seeking. This is what I want to do with my situation or whatever's going on. How do I get there? How can you help me to do that? Or what kind of tools can you provide to me to navigate that? So that's what I would say on that is just kind of looking at it in that way. So anyway, I wonder how many of you have decided on getting vaccinated. It's still a very hard decision, for me. It gives me quite a bit of anxiety when Holly comes on. One of the things that I want to ask her about is I'm watching the news and there's an article. I can't remember what the terminology is, but there was a terminology that they were using, and it spoke about folks that were vaccinated becoming infected with COVID, right? And so what does that mean? And how is this going to kind of affect the nation going forward, right? And so there's several cases of this that have been going on. And you see that the cases are up now in like 20 something states again. A big part of that is spring break, which again, this whole thing for me just really doesn't make any sense. I just don't get it. It seems so counter on both sides, right? When you look at, if you take both sides of the argument and you say, hey, we need to open the economy, or no, we need to stay on lockdown until we really get this thing, nipped in the bud. To me, it seems like, in any really good negotiation, the goal is to figure out what both sides need and try to provide both sides with their needs as much as possible. Everyone's going to give a little bit, but if you make it a zero-sum game, then one person loses and the other person or the other party wins. And many times, especially if you have to go back and negotiate with those people again, that might be a great strategy if it's just a one-off, right? You're never going to see this person again. You're never going to work with this company again. So you want to get the best price you can, and then off you go. But if you're going to have to come back to the table over and over again, as we do in our political parties, then you got to find a way to negotiate and try to find solutions that are going to be viable for both sides. And granted, a lot of mistakes were made, on when this thing first rolled out, but you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, as they say. You've got to start from some baseline and kind of go forward from there. But it just seems to me that, you have those that want to open up, just want to open up at all costs, kind of it's like caution to the wind, right? We're talking about the extreme side of that. And then on the other hand, you have folks that want to, play it safe and keep things locked down, but with our president is not really giving a full-throated, look, we're going to stay shut down and this is what it's going to be until, right? Well, no, we're going to put the decision into the local states to make their decisions. We're not going to really enforce anything. We're just going to strongly encourage when we know what exactly is going to happen. We've been watching this cycle now for the last year, right? We close down, everything is shut down. You see the numbers start to fall, right? And as the numbers start to fall, a holiday or some event comes up and it gets eased. People go out, do their thing, and then here comes the numbers, right? And then up and down, up and down, up and down. And the vaccine is here, and everyone it's like, we've seen it, in NFL bloopers, right? Where, there's an interception or the wide receivers running and they just about to get into the end zone and the guy comes up from behind and tackles them and or they fumble the ball, right? I'm thinking about my Buffalo Bills. Woo, boy. Not a shout out to the Patriot fans out there. No shout out to y'all. But that's what it seems like, and here we are. We've got spring break, and it's like, man, if we could have just held on, right? If we can hold the line a little longer, and let more folks get vaccinated. We're about to open this thing up in about what was it, 2 or 3 weeks, where 90% of people are going to be eligible to get the vaccine if they want it. A couple of more weeks, and we may have been able to keep this thing from spiking again, right? And again, if we can't get a hold of it and this thing just, still is taking hold in different places, and now we have these different variants, coming from different countries. We have our own mutations in our own country, and all this stuff is just mixing and matching and just going crazy. It's like, look, man, if we had just held off and just had more of a hard line on being shut down, then when we did open, let's say it's, May, beginning of June, we can actually open in a way where we wouldn't have to worry about, these rolling spikes that are pretty significant. And maybe we don't even worry about these other variants that are coming up. And so, and I can get that the other side of this argument would be, well, hey, what's the point in shutting down at all if it's going to be a spike once it opens back up, So yeah, I get it, but I think the waves, if you will, would be a lot shallower or shorter than it would be if we did what we did, and so to me it just seems counterintuitive to do this. And the messaging is still just really crazy. And, you've got, what's that, Dr. Bricks and Fauci and others that are, and a lot of it is the mainstream media, and they're answering questions. But to trash the previous administration, I just don't think it does any good or really serve any purpose, right? We know what happened. We know what it was. People are going to believe what they're going to believe, right? Those that are, hardened supporters of Trump are going to, say, hey, he did what he did, and we support him. Those that aren't are going to say, nope, he was this, that, and the other, and all the mistakes were because of him. So at that point, it's water under the bridge, right? We can't go back and relitigate history. It's pointless. There's nothing good is going to come of it. Nothing good has come of it. So at this point, let's go forward. Let's make sure that folks get vaccinated. Let's work toward herd immunity and get ourselves back into some semblance of economic health and starting to progress from where we're at, right? Instead, what we have is, still a good portion of the country still locked down. We still have these, huge spikes. We have all of these variants that are flying around. It's just, I don't get it. I don't get it. And I don't think it's really that difficult. And what's really odd is as I speak with, so many different folks, most of the people I speak to, kind of agree and see that it sounds pretty rational, right? And, I speak to all types of folks, so I'm not in an echo chamber where it's, we all need to be shut down or no, we need to open up, right? I'm talking to both sides. And when you actually have a conversation with people and people are willing to have a conversation, not talk at you, but talk with you, it typically makes sense. And there's a pathway forward. But this is kind of where we find ourselves at. So, hopefully, if you haven't heard, there is a new round of, rental assistance that it will be hitting Kitsap County here soon. Gather Together, Grow Together will be a part of that effort. So as soon as we have more information, we will definitely push that out to you and try to remove as many barriers as possible to help those that need to catch up on their rent to do that. But, additionally, to try to make as whole as possible those homeowners who, look, for a lot of them, they may be their sole source of revenue, right? And if they lose their property, then they don't have anything. They may be retired, whatever the case may be, right? And so that investment is going to be tremendously important for them to be able to keep. And if they haven't been able to collect their rent from their tenants, then they're in a very hard and difficult situation as well. So, this program does help homeowners and renters alike. So again, stay tuned. We'll put out a ton of information about that as it starts rolling out, and try to disseminate as far and wide as possible. To that end, I had a doctor's appointment today, and I had a conversation with my doctor about it. And it's like, oh, hey, well, it was a virtual appointment. And at the end of the appointment, he's like, hey, could you bring some business cards by to the office to leave out for my patients? Because, many of my patients could definitely probably benefit from that. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So, we went out and dropped some of our cards off. And so it's just, having those conversations and speaking with folks, because people don't know, right? There will be people that hopefully are helped through this round of support that didn't know about it the first time. And so, we want to make sure that we reach full saturation as far as, reaching out to the community, making sure that everybody knows what resources are out there and what's available. As we know that these things are like a flash in the pan. If you remember, the wait list for Section 8 opened up, and it was open and then it was closed, and it was just that fast, right? There was more time advertising that it was going to open than it actually really spent open. So that makes it really difficult for folks to get in and kind of get some type of relief or resolution to the situation that they're going through. So yeah, please spread the word, but we will definitely do that. Tomorrow is Stephanie's salad, which is fantastic. This thing is a super healthy salad, full of nuts and craisins and just all types of things. So super excited to have that tomorrow for dinner. Again, if you have anyone who is food insecure, please reach out to us at 360-373-3000, and we will go ahead and put them on our delivery route and be sure that they get a meal or their family gets a meal. And so that's really important. We've been adding some folks that are living in their vehicles on our route. So that has been a new addition. So we're seeing our numbers begin to increase, and it is likely to continue to increase. So, shout out to Drug Court. See that they have been doing some, food work in the community down there at Island Hut. So shout out to those guys. Again, it's really important, I think, to understand that there is so much need. There is so much need here in this community. Kitsap County is relatively small, but there are a lot of folks that are in need. And there's plenty of space for folks that want to get in and try to help people. One of the things that I would hear about, and I actually was told this at the college, actually. You come in, you're trying to find your way, and as you learn processes and how things work, and you're working with whatever demographic that you're working with, you start to see things in a certain way, and you'll have these ideas, well, what if we do this, or what if we do that? And some things, you don't always have all the information on, right? Some things aren't practical to do. There are reasons why you can't do a certain thing, right? And then other things you could do and just no one's thought about it, or, no one has been tasked to do it, or no one has, there's no person power to take that on. And so oftentimes what is said is just, we're going in a different direction, or, it's a duplication of effort. And that one is the one that I hate hearing. And so I'm thinking about how that person who is, hungry for that meal on a Thursday when we do our feeding, that's getting a meal from us at 4 p.m., who might also get a meal at noon, and it's like, well, it's a duplication of effort. And it's like, well, that's kind of tough if you're looking at it like that, when typically it's, hey, you're going to eat 3 meals a day with a few snacks in between, is what typically suggested as far as nutritional standards. And it's like, well, you know what? They got 1 meal today, so that should be good. That's a duplication. You should be doing something else. So, it's always important to take a look at things from, another perspective, and understand, while it does look like, those energies could be used somewhere else. People have their own passions and things that they want to do. And at the same time, people want to be able to take ownership over some of those things, right? So, it's one thing for them to come and help you to do a thing, but it's another thing for them to kind of, also do that thing, but then kind of have some ownership over it, right? And that's very empowering for folks and for organizations to do, and that helps with their motivation, right? Because now we have our ideas, and we can reach out to these folks, and we can, maybe serve this type of food, or we can do these things, and create these synergies, and I just think it's important to kind of consider those things and not summarily dismiss it because it may already exist in one place or another. I think the thing is you look at that and you say, okay, well, you have, all these different folks that are willing to do this. Well, how can we, ensure, one, that people are getting served to their capacity, right? So if we said, hey, 3 meals a day was 100% capacity of what a human should get, we will take out the snacks, just 3 meals, right? If they don't have access to 3 meals, then, there is still a need for someone or some organization to fill that need so that that person can be brought to 100%, right? The other thing that you can do is say, okay, we have all these folks that are here all doing this thing. What can we do to spread it out, right? Reach more people. And that's one of the things that we looked at was we were already doing delivery. We get out there pretty far, right? I mean, we're in Bay Bridge Island, we're in Poulsbo, we're in Gig Harbor, we're deep in Port Orchard, out there by the ferry and some other places I've never been before. We're in Port Orchard, we're in Mason County, we're all over the place. And so that allows, that food insecurity to spread out, right? You've got this hub where you think of, the downtown area where you've got the Rescue Mission and Salvation Army and ourselves and whatnot. And you have a lot of folks that are food insecure, lower income brackets that are kind of in that area. So it's like, okay, there's a lot of energy and focus there, but there are people all over that are dealing with food insecurities. Okay. We were having a conversation a few weeks ago with folks, and I asked them, it's like, hey, have you guys ever had a ketchup sandwich? And they're like, oh no, I never had a ketchup sandwich. And I used to love ketchup sandwiches. And the thing was, is bread was cheap, back in the day. And, the thing that was expensive was meat and cheese. And we didn't always have meat and cheese, but we had syrup. All right. So don't know how many of you have had syrup sandwiches, but syrup sandwiches are bomb too. Mayonnaise sandwiches, Miracle Whip sandwiches. If there was butter in the house and cinnamon, oh man, you take some butter, you spread it on the bread, you turn on the oven, you sprinkle your sugar and your cinnamon on there. Oh man, that is so good. But that could get your butt tore up. Boy, if dad comes home and you done went through a little loaf of bread, that's it. Or when times are plenty, he comes home and, for a while, it's just, a bunch of dudes in the house until, Jamie and Renita came. And it's like, hey, we done ate a pack of bacon in one day, in one sitting. That is your behind. You know what I'm saying? That was the wrong move. But, when things were just crazy, people don't know how to act, right? It's like, that's why we can't have nice things. I would make this lattice bacon sandwich, right? So I'd fry up all the bacon. I'd have the slice of bread, some mayonnaise, right? I'd put 4 slices of bacon, barely touching, bacon is hanging off the edge, right? Wouldn't break it or anything, so it's super long off the bread on the vertical end, and it's hanging off on the horizontal end. Then I go ahead, so okay, here's my bacon, right? Then I put another layer of 4 this way, then another layer of 4, and then another layer of 4. Hit my mayonnaise on there, put the other piece on there. Oh man, that is we were making the Baconators before Baconators was a thing, right? Wendy's should be paying us for the Baconator. But yeah, that was few and far in between. And then dad, he went on a health kick. So next thing you know, he didn't introduce turkey bacon into the house. And we're like, what the hell is this? Turkey bacon? It's like, this ain't bacon. This ain't right. So, man, but what's so funny is I actually like the taste of turkey bacon now. Man, we're so mad at him for switching over to turkey bacon. Dad started making quiche, and we're like, what is baked eggs? Like, what is this, man? And spinach and all this, healthy stuff. Like, son, this is good for you. This is healthy eating here. Now it still was loaded with cheese because he's still a Cameron, but it's like, what is going on right now? So, yeah, it's just funny. It's just funny. But yeah, when you think about those times, of being food insecure, we grew up that way, right? And, ketchup sandwich, man, for me, that was the thing. I could eat a ketchup sandwich. Sometimes I'd have a mustard and ketchup sandwich, but it just wasn't the same, But having the tang sometime of the mustard was cool. But yeah, ketchup sandwiches I've eaten a lot of ketchup sandwiches. Now, if my dad was still here, he would tell stories about, when my Uncle Bob would sit on the porch and, older guy, and he had been at where was he at? Vietnam, I believe. And he came back, and he was old, and the police ended up beating him up so badly that he wasn't right in his mind, right? And so um, when he spoke, you couldn't really understand what he was saying. He needed a caregiver, so my grandfather had to take care of him for the rest of his life. But my Uncle Bob had these super long fingernails. They were thick and just crazy looking. And he would smoke bugles, right? So he would roll his own cigarettes. And so, being 7 and 8, you'd go and, or probably even younger than that, probably like 5 or 6, right? We go out on the porch and he'd roll his bugle cigarettes, and you just watch him roll it in the little blue can with the bugle on it. And he'd have this big rind of bologna, with the red wrapper around it. And I would just sit on the porch with him, and he would just unwrap the bologna and cut me chunks like I was a little dog. And I would just sit there and listen to him. I couldn't understand what he was saying. He was just ho 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 ho, yeah, almost some, and he would just talk or whatever. But he was giving up bologna. So as a little kid, I'm gonna sit next to Uncle Bob because Uncle Bob's got the bomb bologna. So I remember those days, and it was so fun. So. Rest in power, Uncle Bob, and, Pops. Just thinking about, days like that. But, just like I said, that food piece. So anyway, reach out on Tuesday. On Tuesdays, that's when we add new people to our routes. Again, we also have bread. We have a partnership where we get a shipment of bread in every week. So we can put that on the delivery too. And this bread is... I think they've got like this Seahawks French bread, which is really nice that we get sometimes. We get muffins. Sometimes we get the multi-grain bread. I've looked at some of the bread at Safeway, and it's like, ooh, boy, this loaf of bread is $7. Like, good Lord. So, bread isn't cheap. And, definitely your healthier breads with more of your grains and stuff in it is definitely more expensive. So, reach out. We're out there driving around, so let us, get that food out to folks. Again, if you need transportation, if you're trying to stay safe, go ahead and give us a call and check out our rates, 360-373-3000. It helps to keep you safe. Like tomorrow, I'm going to have, I put in an order online for Walmart. And one of our drivers is going to pick that up and bring it here to me so that I can stay safe. So I'm definitely appreciative of that. And what's nice is he just pulls up, they load it into the back, so it's kind of a touchless service. It doesn't have to walk into the store, and then he just brings it to me, and then I can bring it in and do what I got to do, put it away, and stay safe. So it works pretty good. So we can do all kinds of things like that for you. We had some footage of, actually Rob took a ride for an older gentleman who needed to get some things at Lowe's and has some physical disabilities. And so, it wasn't a lot on the list. But, if you've been to Lowe's or Home Depot, it's a pretty big space. And you're walking around trying to, piecemeal whatever's on your list to get it together. You could be in there for 10 or 15 minutes, but do quite a bit of walking. And, Rob with his construction background is like, hey, just give me the list. I'll go ahead and I'll take care of it. So, Rob went and bought everything. He had the list and had the receipt and was able to show him his change and everything else. And so, we can do little things like that for folks to help them, one, to stay safe and isolated and social distanced and still get the things that they need and not have to just kind of wait until things kind of work themselves out. All right. So I do not see Miss Holly, so something may have happened to her. That is the gift and the curse of kind of setting up these interviews, right? So you have, folks that have conflicts. Like last night, getting ready to go live, and Tracy Flood, gives me a call and So we end up playing phone tag. She's like, "Well, I'm in a Zoom meeting, but I'll be done in 10 minutes. Can I call you back?" And it's like, in 10 minutes I'll be live, But yeah, go ahead. I'll go ahead and put on a video of Layla and I will have a conversation because we're just all inundated and busy doing these different things, and things come up. And so, again, definitely something I've got to work on now and get my update my resume and get that sent over, since I was asked to put my hat in to sit on the board for Kitsap Community Resources. So honored to have that invitation extended to me. And it's probably time for me to update it anyway from the things that I've done last year. So there's when you're in education, you have your resume is called a curriculum vitae, and mine is 6 pages long. So it's a long read. It's an interesting read, but it's a long read. So you try to drill it down to 1 or 2 pages when you're doing things outside the sector. That can be a little challenging to do. I will tell you though, and there's like lots of different trains of thoughts, right? So as you know, last year I was working with the Navy and working with our folks that were separating and retiring from active duty, and helping them to get ready to transition into their new life. And a lot of that has to do with, okay, are you going to go to work? And you've got to now create a cover letter and a resume and talk about the things that you've done. Make sure that those things translate into what you're going to do in the public sector if you're not going to do government work and whatnot, and trying to teach those theories, right? And everyone has different theories on what is effective as far as your resume or your cover letter, right? So some people say it should not be more than 2 pages at all. Again, I turned in my 6-page resume or curriculum vitae, even though I wasn't necessarily teaching. I think it's still teaching when you're instructing classes, but I was able to, get the position on that. But I'm sure I probably was one of very few people that submitted something so long, right? But it just kind of talks about all the different things that I've done and that are relevant, right? So relevance is also important. So, me working at Burger King for 3 days when I was 15, probably not relevant, and that was my only stint in fast food. I worked at Burger King in Factoria Square in Bellevue, and I made it 3 days and was like, yeah, no, there's no way. And I don't know if there's any way it could be easier. I mean, you just put the meat on a belt and it goes through and cooks it on its own. So it's not like I'm flipping burgers or doing anything like that. I mean, it's literally automated, even way back then. So I was not cut out for the fast food world. And I was out of there. I don't think I ever got paid for that job. I don't think I even turned in my uniform. I think I was just like, day 3, it was like, yeah, I gave y'all 3 days, but I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm good. That's it. So it was what it was. But sometimes you gotta, you figure out what you like by figuring out what you don't like. So I definitely figured out that I did not like that at all. So anyway, I was really hoping to have Miss Holly on today because, definitely some important things that I wanted to discuss with her. And I know that there were several people had a lot of questions for her. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. I'm reading a text at the same time, just making sure she's not reaching out to me. Good evening. I just want to confirm. Yes, I did. I did receive the email. Whoops. Email. Apologies. I got busy. I forgot to confirm. All right, so send that out. All right. Oh, then, all right, Mr. Riley's giving me a text telling me to reach out to him when I get a chance, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, so it never stops. Last night, if you notice, my stream continues to evolve, right? Sometimes it evolves, sometimes it devolves, sometimes it's non-existent. It's pretty crazy, but it's definitely been a learning experience. There's definitely been a lot of woosah moments and a lot of frustration. It is, people make it look really easy, but if the software doesn't act right, oh boy. Oh boy, like right here, I'm on right now, and typically I broadcast on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. Well, I was up till almost 4 in the morning yesterday, um, because the interview that I did, what was the last interview that I did? Ooh, they all blend together. Oh, Tasia Green was supposed to come on, right? And she'll be on Friday. And so I still set up YouTube to have her set to go, right? Uh, or Zoom, not YouTube. Set up Zoom. And so even though I'm broadcasting and no one is in on the Zoom feed, Zoom still crashed, right? So it's like, oh man, what is going on? I figured if nothing else, it might work until someone got on. Maybe it was bandwidth with my computer. Like, I don't know what it is. And it's always something, right? In the very beginning, it was, the router kept resetting and cutting out, and I was losing my internet. I couldn't understand why, right? And I went through all these different things to try to figure it out. And the crazy thing is what they said is the house is so old that it has no ground wires in the outlets in the house. The only one that have grounds are the ones that are on GFI in the bathroom and the kitchen. So I literally have a huge gauge extension cord running from the kitchen into the router for it to get its power. Ridiculous, right? Just crazy. But that's what had to be done, and there were still some issues for like a week, and then it stopped, and it never ever reset. It's like, oh well, I guess that problem was solved. And then as soon as that got resolved, then all of a sudden Zoom started acting a fool. And so, one thing when you're teaching someone, it's important that you do teach them the right way, and then you do check for understanding a lot, right? Because what ends up happening is folks are, when they're in that learning mode, they spend a lot of energy and expenditure of brain power learning, and you could be teaching them the wrong way, or they could be learning the wrong way. So once you've allowed that to happen, right? Whether it was on an accident or, just negligence, right? Once they realize that, it's hard to reverse the ship back all the way up to where they need to go and then turn around and go back down another road, right? They're deflated. They're not as gung-ho about it. It's like, man, I did all this work. Now I got to go backwards. It's just to catch up to where I am now, even though I went down this wrong path. And you've kind of wired their brain to understand it the wrong way, and so it just makes the learning experience more difficult. And so even for myself, right, that's my experience. So I can watch YouTube videos, I can read articles and do all these things, but you're doing all of this stuff. And as you go down these roads and figure out, okay, well, I've gone 2 miles down this road. This doesn't work. I got to backtrack and go down a different one. By the time you're doing that for, the 9 or 10 different things that it takes to really kind of get it going, it's like, man, that thing for item 1 and item 2, I don't even remember how I did that. It just, I got it set up. It was working, and it was actually better than it was before. It is currently, because now I can't seem to duplicate what I learned before, right? And then you're dealing with other issues that are going on. So, like, that's kind of one of the challenges that I'm having. If you notice, like, I'm wearing my my little headphones that come with your iPhone. I think these came with the iPhone. They maybe have come with my Samsung. But I actually like wearing the over-the-ear headphones. It helps to kind of block out everything else that's going on, and I can hear myself more. But on some of the videos, because I'm using a green screen now, like there was a green in between the little gap that you could see in between the headset and my skull. That's like, what? Why? I don't get it, right? And then other times, sometimes I kind of have like a green outline halo around myself. So it's like, it's just all these just really weird things. So when you watch some of your YouTubers that are just seem to have it down pat, and they've got all these viewers, and it just looks like this really nice polished thing where they've got edits and cuts and just all kinds of things coming off on the soundboard and pop-ups and graphics and this and that. It's like, you know what? Respect. There is some work into that. You can say what you want about the content they may produce. It might not be, your cup of tea, but definitely the work that they put into it is something to behold, right? It definitely is an effort and an undertaking. So, man, definite respect for that. Definite respect for that. Let's see here. So I don't see Miss Holly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to her. And what I'll do is I'll jump off for now. But I really did want to talk about some current events, man. There's a ton of stuff on my mind that I wanted to talk about and I wanted to share. And so I want to jump back on and kind of talk about those things. At some point in time, I'll try to figure out a time where I don't know. I'll try to build it in. I'm a very loquacious person, so for me, I can I don't really need a script or anything like that. Just give me something to talk about, and I can go. But I do need to be a little bit more focused in what it is that I'm talking about, right? And then my mind, people say, oh, what was I told? I'm very stimulating to talk to, but I've got a lot of different thoughts that are in my head, and it's like, who's the blue superhero, Dr. Manhattan, right? And so if you know anything about Dr. Manhattan, right, he's living in the past, the present, and the future all at the same time. And there are some times when I'm not actually present because my mind is thinking about, so many other different things. It's not a very neat analogy because it's not like I'm not even in the room with you because I'm thinking about something else. But I am thinking about, a lot of different things, right? I've got a lot of different things that are kind of popping and running through my mind and kind of having conversations in my head. So I can have conversations. I don't need a lot to go on. And like I was saying before, I like rabbit holes. So I can spend some time, going down rabbit holes with folks and then look up and it's like, oh, it's been 2 hours. All right, well, we probably ought to come out of this rabbit hole and get back to what we were talking about. So it is what it is. Happy birthday to everyone that has had birthdays in the last week or so. It was Layla and I's intention. Is it Layla and me? Mine? Layla and I. Our intention to do birthday wishes on the podcast on a Sunday. But, we were guests of Up from Christ, Up from Slavery. And, we got caught up into doing our own thing and never did get on. So, happy birthday to everyone. How about this? Happy birthday to everyone who had a birthday in the month of March. That way we've covered everyone. It is something that we want to kind of spend time doing. I wonder, maybe do I do it at the end of the month? I wonder if on Facebook can I see it at the beginning of the month? Everyone who has a birthday in March and kind of wish them a happy birthday. If we can do it on their day, of course, it's always best to do it on their day, which is good. Let's see. Oh man, look at that! I'm looking here. Shout out to Woody Nickerson. K-Dog is feeling the effects of the second. Must be shot. So I'm here filling in tonight. Outlaw Radio Network, Kitsap County's only local radio show, is now live at Mega Talk Radio in Port Orchard. So shout out to them. I like to see folks doing different things in the community. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think Olympic College was going to be starting a radio station. That was years ago, too, so I don't know what's happened with that. but it sounded really exciting because they've got some pretty good programs up there for people, for sure. So yeah, I think what I'll do is I'm going to jump off here for now because Holly is not here, and we've been going for about 45 minutes. And what I will do is I will pop back on. I'll do a nighttime broadcast and just kind of bring some things to you that are on my mind. And we will pick it up then. So enjoy your dinner. If you do have questions about the vaccine, do submit those questions because I will make sure that Holly gets those so we can get some answers there. I do know that they have a few events coming up in April and May to help folks to get vaccinated. So please ask the questions. I'll tell you again, as I said before, I have my own anxieties. I'm definitely anxious about being vaccinated. It also looks like, there are folks that would like to force it on to people and say that, you will be vaccinated. And if you are not vaccinated, then you may be isolated out of society. So those are concerns also. So we just need a place to discuss it, have a conversation and talk about it. And hopefully this is the place for you. So again, I'm Marwan Cameron. This is the Conduit. And for now, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.